Let's continue. Let's do some game development today. Lots of stuff going on. I know you guys probably posted that video on Code Monkey. That was good. I like that. There's a few things I agree. Some things it's okay. You know, it's kind of like half half. I think I'll respond to it like kind of on a video, I guess, response. I'll probably do that in regards to what he said. And it was about I guess making short games. It seems everybody's talking about short games. I don't know what it is. Everybody's been talking about like making short games, making small games. And in some sense, of course, I agree with that. Making small games is good. But up to a certain aspect of it, you don't need to just only make small games or short games to be successful in indie game development. You can make bigger games too, like dream games. Absolutely, yeah, you should make dream games. And I'm talking about this video he made up. I'm probably gonna end up reviewing more Code Monkey stuff. Tiny bad? Make small games? Bad advice? I don't think it's a bad advice. And honestly don't see it as being a bad advice. It's not that it's bad. I think but it's not a requirement. That's what I meant to say. Small games are good, but it's not a requirement. You shouldn't just make small games. You should also make bigger games. You should dream big, in other words. You should think about like what kind of games you want to make. Right? If there's a particular genre of a game you want to say, I want to do this kind of a, like a RPG type of game. It's going to take me years, like maybe 10 years. But it doesn't matter. I want to finish it. And that's what you should do. And a good example, which I actually don't like what Komonkey does. He doesn't give examples. What he means by small games and success. I know he only includes his stuff, but I mean, there's other genres to other developers. It's a good one. Dwarf Fortress. So for you guys that don't know, Dwarf Fortress originally came out long ago, and then somebody said, "Let's remake Dwarf Fortress." It took 10 years, 10 years to finish Dwarf Fortress. And in that time, the guys probably did a few short games, not too many, but they were still continuing doing Dwarf Fortress. They kind of went off and on. I would say most of the time they were just trying to market it and trying to get more audience for people like that. So it's not like it was a huge success, but it took years to make, and I like that. A lot of people say best to make short games, but you gotta say those huge games that hit tend to take a year time to make. Never did short games. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of there's a lot of short games that just came out popular, and usually what they'll do, they'll expand it. Say you got your short game. Say for example, Hollow Knight. Good example. Hollow Knight started with a game jam, right? Hungry Knight, they called it on Newgrounds. Right from there, they say, you know what? We like this design. Let's try to make this into a bigger game. Right? They make the short game, and now they say, let's make it into a bigger game. And that's really good. I like that. I like that process of making a shorter game, but making it bigger. Dream big. That's what I mean. Dream big, not just small. You can make bigger games, but meantime, also if you like, you can make shorter games to test out ideas. Yeah, they tend to stay short. Yeah, they usually do tend to stay short, but sometimes you can expand that growth. Like for me, Ocean Boulder was one that I probably will increase. I want to do more levels. There's a lot of short games I want to redo and make it longer. All right, and if you get a lot of support for it, why not do it? The idea is really not to kind of like, I guess you can say, only make short games, right? Make short games if you like on your spare time, right? Test ideas, but also dream big. Because dreaming big is what makes, want you to do game development, right? You're not gonna go and say, oh, I'm only gonna make short games. Dumb. No, make big games. Make the MMORPG, right? If it takes you years, fine, right? If you don't want to do short games, okay, I understand. It's not a requirement, but you should consider it because it does help you out when you wanna like test ideas. So say you got your MMORPG, and then you're like, oh, how do I do an inventory? I don't want to do it in my game. How about I test it out on a short game, right? And there you go. You can test out ideas, and if it doesn't work on the short game, if people don't like it, then there you go. You'll know, okay, people don't like this. I'll do something else. And really, let's see. the best advice you can do in regards to making small games. It's good to start making small games, kind of like a Pong, kind of like that. But once you have the feel to it, dream big, make the big game. Don't go with this for just only small games. I know for me it's a bad example because I make small games. But then again, I like making some of the small games, but I also make big games that take me a year to make. So I would say make a dream big, do that sort of thing. Don't let people tell you, no, 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 only make small games. Shame, shame, shame. No, make the dream game. But just keep in mind that, small games also get kind of like a hit, and you can kind of like test out ideas with your audience or get player attentions too. One dev guest said, have a huge game and build short games off that main game. You want them to have that mechanics down. Now you can put in your main game together. Exactly. That was probably me. I always say that, right? I always say that. It might have been me. It probably was me. Because I always say that. I always say, get your big game, right? But make short games off of it. Test those ideas. Say maybe you want to do an inventory, you want to do a shooter aspect of it, right? And then you can build off of it, right? You can kind of like say, okay, this worked for me on this short game. This did not work for me. This worked for me. I'll apply it to the big game. And really, you can just do that. It seems like a waste of time, but kind of goes in together. It goes in link with if you have a bug in your game or you're stuck. So say you got your huge dream project and you realize, shoot, I'm stuck on this. What the hell am I gonna do? All right, make a smaller game. Right, this smaller game sometimes kind of like refreshes you. Right, you kind of like think in another perspective. You go, oh, this small game gave me another idea for my big game. Yeah, I'm gonna try it. Really, that's the best thing you can do. Yeah, just don't let people tell you, oh, only make small games. Really, do whatever you want. Do whatever works for you. I know for me, like small games work, but because I want to test different game ideas. But I also want to do big games. I don't want to only do 6 month games or a year games. I could probably do a year and a half. It's fun, right? But mix it up, right? You can mix it up like if you're streaming like me, you can mix up bigger games with smaller game jam games, right? And then you can kind of like test things out. Like for me, I have two big games I need to get back to. Oh Shit Boulder, the Ninja game, which is kind of like a sprite game that I have, and then this one. This one I want to finish. What's up, Macer? So yeah, that was the my input on short games. And in case you guys missed it, I think that's really the best thing you can do. Just make them. Who cares what anybody says? All right. Don't let Code Monkey or some other game developer, like a huge YouTuber, right? Like Thomas Brush, or whoever it may be, tell you don't make it. Don't just make small games. Yeah. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I don't think this shit Boulder is worth finishing. You think so? I like the game. I think it was fun. I wanna do more into it. I know some people didn't like it. I know you only like the FPS type of games, so it's okay. But a lot of people did like the Oh Shit Boulder, because some people was like, "Hey, I want to see more of this. This was fun." Like people that are into Crash Bandicoot, they really liked it. Yeah, everybody has different tastes. Yeah, for sure. I'll probably finish it. Just do not too long of a game. I'll probably do a couple levels. You just don't want to scope high and have high goals. You want small to complete and want to make the character and then it's done. You complete the goal. Yeah, just small goals. Exactly. Not big, huge goals. I was dream big, but don't do overscope it. Yeah, exactly. I feel like you could do better. I could. That's why I'm going to go back to it and then redo it. Yeah, I could do better. That's really the idea. With Oh Shit Boulder, I want to go back to it, redo some of the ideas. It's buggy still a little bit buggy, and then kind of change it up a little bit. Some of the models in there that I used were not good. Like the main character, I can leave it as a sprite, but everything else I need to change. Now that I know how to do more 3D modeling, I'll probably go back to that game, but modify it a little bit better. That's what happens when a lot of people, their goals are too high and they break before achieving it. Yeah, right? They have a really huge goal, like, oh, it's gonna be a multiplayer, it's gonna do all these things, but I have no idea how to do multiplayer. Less alone, you know how to do 3D modeling. Then yeah, of course, then it wouldn't work. The idea is to kind of like keep high dreams, but dream big, but also keep in mind what you can do, what you can redo as well. Yeah, like in my case, that game, I want to redo it. There's a few things like the models, I don't like the models. That I agree. There's a couple of models I think I can just do better with. So I want to do a little bit longer for Ocean Boulder, and then I'll build up more levels to it. But that's gonna be in the future. Yeah, in the future though, it's not gonna be Ocean Boulder's not gonna be the big game. Yeah, that's why I keep it small and keep going. Yeah, keep it small, keep it going. But also have your little project that you can keep on the side. Coming back to the same game is the solution. If you didn't finish the first time, why come back? You probably have a better idea or skills now. Why make a same game that you struggled with? You have more skills now. That's actually a good question. I like that question. Why come back to a game that you struggled with before, but now you have way more skills that you can do? Um, it depends. I would say like, say the idea is really good, right? But it's buggy. It's buggy as hell, right? But you didn't have the skills back then to make it well. I think if you can redo it, so in other words, start over from scratch, that would be better. Say, say for example, kind of like how you do like the remakes, right? They usually don't like do the original, right? They remake everything. Like they change the code around, they start fresh, they start new. The game is new itself, but the title's the same, right? The same game concept, just different like different code, different assets, different whatever it may be, right? So it's not gonna be exactly like coming back to it. It's gonna be a different kind of like look to it, different feel from it. Coming back to that game doesn't mean start where you left off. You can restart it. Yeah, exactly. Restarting is fine. Yeah, just maybe change a few assets, maybe change a few things. You realize, oh, this does not look good. I should have done this instead. You don't think picking up where you left off is the best way you go. I would start fresh and new ideas, and yeah, I think that's fine too. Yeah, especially if you like maybe have too many bugs in your game, and you realize, oh, okay, this game is just I have to start over because there's just too many bugs. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good suggestion. So I think starting over would be the ideal. You don't have to go back to the game. You can always start over and try different things out. Now it depends. If your game that you come back to doesn't have any bugs and you kind of like it the way it is, I don't see a problem with it. There's one game I want to go back to, the ninja game that I'm doing, the 2D sprite. That one has no bugs. It depends. Yeah, it depends rarely. If like if it's a game and it has, for example, here's one of my games. And I'll be honest with you guys, there's a couple games I would not redo. Or I guess I could redo, but I would not probably remake. Or I probably would not go back to the way it is. Like my first game, like this game, where is it? Probably like this game, Feed the Monster. I did this for a game jam. I would not go back to and remake the same exact, or in other words, I would not go back to the same edit mode and then continue off from here. I would completely redo it again if that were a case. Say, like, see how the pixel art's on this, right? It's a very crappy pixel art, right? But it started somewhere, right? It's bad pixel art, right? But I wouldn't exactly go back to the same project. I would completely redo it. I would do it maybe 3D, different assets, right? Different pixel art, that sort of thing. Like I would definitely not use the same UI like this. I would do different things. Like this sort of generic thing, these sounds too. I would do it way different from what I would did last time. And that's what I mean. Just changing things around. I would definitely restart it. Now there's a couple games I would probably, add to it. I think this Trick or Treat Battlegrounds I can add to it. There's a couple games I would probably do more adding than subtracting. Tanopo, maybe I can add. I can add a few things to Tanopo. And then there's a couple games I was like, you know what? Those I would restart. I think Along Came a Slime, this one, I would probably restart it. I'd definitely restart it over. That's what I mean. Not everything is going to be restart. Some of it I'm probably going to go back to. My main point was, if you're a beginner, you just get stressed with crappy games. So you move on and learn to new skills. Yeah, especially if you're a beginner. Why even come back to, yeah, game that would be even crappy? Just restart it. Exactly. Well said. Yeah, I would restart the game. If it's a crappy game, yeah. I like this game because it shows you were able to settle for beginner graphics. Right? Most games die because the devs are not happy with the graphics. Yeah, you're not happy with it. It's buggy. It has some issues. You say, you know what? Let me continue on to this next game. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that I agree with Gary for sure. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah, if it's crappy graphics or you're not happy with it, don't restart it. 100%. Yeah. But if you're okay with it, you're happy with, like, you know what? This game has potential, right? The way it is good. I just need to add a little bit to it. Why not? Do it. Yeah, there's going to be some games I'm not going to restart or do anything with, right? There's going to be some games I'm just going to say, they're done, right? I'm going to do something else. Or maybe I can redo it, but kind of like change the style of it, right? I agree 100%. In that aspects, for sure, I agree with you guys.